Donald Trump says that he is not wide, both him and Vance. People think that Donald Trump is wide, but no, he is not. I believe that Donald Trump has a good intention for Americans, and I want to give you assurance that Donald Trump is the best choice for Americans. Let's watch this video to see or hear what he says from this opinion. But before we proceed, make sure that you watch this video from the beginning to the end. Subscribe and turn on the bell. Anytime I upload a new video, you will get notification of my new upload. Thank you for watching once again. Let's watch the video. Thanks.
Donald Trump says he's not weird, and neither is J.D. Vance, after Kamala Harris and other Democratic leaders trotted out weird to describe the GOP duo.
Nobody's ever called me weird. I'm a lot of things, but weird I'm not. And I'm up front. And he's not either, I will tell you. JD is not at all. They are. It's all a soundbite. And the press picks it up. You notice the evening news, every one of them they introduce the word weird, and all of a sudden they're talking about weird. No, we're not weird people. We're actually just the opposite.
Okay, our panel is back to talk more about this. Let's talk about weird. I want to play a clip. This all started, Tim Walz, who is potentially a VP pick for Kamala Harris, just said it very plainly, but a lot of Democrats have picked up on weird. So let's listen to them.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are.
It's the weirdest thing. He'll go and like literally hug an American flag. Now, I love the flag, but I mean, it's like weird what he does.
I mean, on the other side, they're just weird. I mean, they really are.
Kamala Harris has used it as well. Sarah, this seems to be sinking. It's rare you see messaging like that just take off, and they've all adapted to it or adopted it pretty quickly. How is it landing with voters? And kind of, it is very plain spoken, but do voters kind of get that?
Totally. And here's the thing. For a long time, I would say the way that people talked about Donald Trump, because he is a very dangerous person, but they talk, dictator, strongman, authoritarian, and that stuff. Voters oftentimes will say, like, what do you think about Trump being an authoritarian? And people will be like, what? What are you talking about?
What is that? Yeah.
Whereas weird, people are like, I know what weird is. And J.D. Vance has really helped to define the weirdness, right? The cat lady stuff, the fact that he has done a full personality transplant. So it's funny, they're trying to brand Kamala Harris as a chameleon. But everybody, when I talk to swing voters and focus groups, I haven't seen as negative a reaction to a candidate as I have seen from swing voters to J.D. Vance since Mike Pence was in the primary to Trump voters. These swing voters do not like him, and they do think he's weird. They think he's inauthentic. They think he's a phony. And so it's like if the weird shoe fits, like that's what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Mo, what do you say to all of this?
No, I think that's right. And, so right. Like when you listen to words that are often used in politics, right? Authoritarian, dictator, dangerous, extreme. Mm-hmm. Like everyone has been using the word extreme for so long on both sides of the aisle that the word has kind of lost its meaning to a lot of voters. But weird, that's something that people just get, and I think it does reflect their feelings. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's been a weird cycle.
Yes,
it's been a weird campaign, and it's been a really bad and weird week for the Trump campaign. And even that response, I think a lot of people are like, really?
Like, I'm not weird, you're weird.
Like, that's weird for an adult to say, right? Like my toddler, sure, a kid, maybe. But so I just think it's one of those things that's going to stick a little.
Yeah,
bit.
it seems to have caught on. And Molly, we're getting these fundraising numbers. Trump raising $139 million in July. The Harris team raising $310 million in July. And it's worth noting, of course, she entered late in the month once Biden stepped aside. These numbers really indicate that enthusiasm that we were talking about on the Harris side. I mean, this was Trump. Obviously, Trump has made real gains in fundraising. They were really lagging before, and they have caught up in a lot of ways. But this is a huge haul for the Harris campaign.
Yeah, well, and it should be said that the campaign's cash on hand is much closer to parity because the Trump campaign hasn't spent as much so far. But look, as you say, there is a lot of momentum behind the Democratic ticket now that was not there before. And I want to say I'm a proud, weird American. I'm not here to stigmatize weird people. It's okay not to conform with the dominant culture. But I think it's part of the same thing where you have the Democrats suddenly seeming to be in the driver's seat, being able to say, you know, we're where the regular people are. We're where people who just want to live their lives are able to feel at home. And that's what this weird attack is. I mean, every campaign is trying to find new ways always to say, my opponent isn't like you, right? My opponent is different. My opponent is not someone who you relate to. And so this is another way of saying that. But what Democrats really like about this that I've spoken to is also that it has a dismissiveness to it, where when you call Trump a strongman or an authoritarian, in a lot of ways you're elevating him. And what voters hear from that is he's strong, he's tough, he can get things done. And so what Democrats like about this weirdness idea is instead it sort of marginalizes him and says he's not serious.